My name is Randi Romo, and I'm the co-founder and the executive director of the Center for Artistic Revolution.
All right. And what is the Center for Artistic Revolution?
We're a grassroots-based organization that's working on issues of fairness and equality for all Arkansans. We're queer-centric. We were founded by queers, but we work from the perspective that oppression is connected and that you can't talk about LGBTQ equality and not deal with the realistic aspects of racism, sexism, gender identity, that these things are all used together to keep people divided and oppressed.
And what kind of work have you been doing?
Well, we've been doing a lot lately. We just came off the legislative session. We have a youth program with the Diverse Youth for Social Change, also known as DISC, and we had a rather historic thing where we took the first group of LGBTQ kids, our youth and young adults, to the Capitol, where they hosted a legislative lunch and then did outreach throughout the halls of the Capitol, meeting and talking with their legislators. And so this was a really great opportunity for them, and they actually came away from it with securing several legislators' support to do an interim study on the anti-bullying law, which they don't feel is effective in this state.
What was that like, talking to legislators? Like, how was the reception?
Some were really good. We have an openly a lesbian representative in the House who has, done some great work to pave the way and to make things a little more accessible. Certainly, it's not just, well, y'all come on in, but she has certainly done a lot to help open the doors. And so we did have some access because people knew her and were willing to talk to us. The young people did a great job of taking the things that we have been teaching them, because we work from education, advocacy, organizing, and creative and cultural work as all being the elements that we combine together in how we do what we do. So like every session with our trainings and education stuff, we'll have one of those components that we're trying to instill in the communities that we're working with to get the work done. So yeah, I think that they had a great impact with the legislators that they spoke with, and then the week later we went in a combined unit with a youth summit out of the Arkansas Citizens First Congress, where we went in there with queer youth, straight youth, black youth, Latino youth, white youth, and we went in there with the idea that every kid that graduates from a high school in Arkansas should have the right to pay in-state tuition, which currently is not the case for most kids that are undocumented. They have to pay out-of-state tuition, which generally puts college education out of their reach. And it was really phenomenal that we had all these kids, and everybody knew who everybody was, but they agreed that this was what they were going to work on and that they all cared about it, and no matter who they were and where they came from, they thought that this was something that every youth and young adult should have. So it's really awesome in how we do our work for us, that we're able to reach across lines and to build bridges between communities that aren't ordinarily having conversations. And so, like myself being Mexican American and being from the Latino community, and then we have white people on our board and at our membership, and then we have African Americans, and so we have to meet people where they come from. You have to meet them exactly where they're at when you meet them, and you may have an agenda that you want to share with them, but you have to be prepared to build those bridges and find those commonalities. And so, like doing that piece with the DREAM Act, everybody got it that this was important, but it went a deeper level, that these young people are also talking about other issues of equality, and in ways that the achievement gap is hurting kids, predominantly kids of color, the way that not being protected under the bullying laws that are really not enforced to the degree that we would like to see. So we're able to create these relationships in a way that allows us to have deeper conversations across the state that allow people to really think about the value of everybody's family, the value of everybody's life, in a way that's not being hurt.
What's it like to be queer in Arkansas?
Oh, can we edit that out? It has some degree of difficulty. I mean, right off the bat that, from the law that you're not protected. We had the marriage amendment passed in 2004 that not only took away the right to marry, it also took away civil unions and domestic partnerships. So we have absolutely no legal remedy to protect our families. We have a small domestic partnership registry in Eureka Springs, the only one of its kind, and the benefit from that, because it's not recognized by the state or the federal government, but if you work for a company that provides domestic partnership benefits, that certificate will suffice to allow your family to have that access. So even though it's not anything near what we would like to see, and it certainly doesn't cover the majority of the families that need, benefits through their partner or through their own employment, it's something.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all we have at this point. And so, you live with this every day, that you know that your family's devalued. Then we had Act 1 that just passed in the last election in November, which bans adoption and foster care for unmarried couples, and that's heterosexual and same-sex. And so, once more we see our families being devalued. And we also see an attempt by the right to define for all Arkansans who's deemed as a valuable family. So it's definitely creating tiers of value and worth for families in Arkansas that we think should not exist, that we think all families have value. And we really look at the dialogue about family through a progressive family value lens. And so when you live in Arkansas, you know that if you're queer, that you're an open season for legislation that's going to try to disenfranchise you further. I mean, I've lived in Arkansas for 6 years now, and every legislative session there has been anti-immigrant and anti-gay legislation, every single legislative session. But then you're working with communities where, sorry, I'm turning my phone off. You work with communities where, like in the gay community, people are very anti-immigrant, send the wetbacks home, and, those people, and then, you talk in Latino communities, and they're talking about those gay people, and so, one of the things that we talk about in our bridge building work is that if you're queer or you're an undocumented immigrant, you're dealing with pretty much the same disenfranchisement. You can be refused a job, you can be fired from your job. You can be refused a house rental or sale. You can be evicted from that home. You can not be able to reunite with your loved ones if they're in another country. You can be denied public accommodations. You can be refused a marriage license. You can be forced to live in the shadows. So here we have two populations that live in this country, and one group, despite being citizens, are told, no, you cannot have these rights. And then you have another group that, because they're not citizens, are told, you cannot have these rights. So it's like really schizophrenic in how these things play out. But the people that are utilizing this anti-immigrant and anti-gay initiatives, they're doing it to build their own power base. They're doing it to build, their own constituent support to help them stay where they want to be, to increase their economic well-being. I mean, these things aren't about really protecting anybody's family. I mean, when you look at these are ways that they raise money to take care of the lives that they've set for themselves. The primary guy that's against anything that's progressive for the gay community in Arkansas makes $105,000 a year doing it. $105,000 to oppress and deny people equal rights. His organization has a $550,000 budget to oppress and deny people their rights. So, we're very aware that being queer in Arkansas is hard, because it's really hard to even get our own community to support us in the fight for equality. And, so we have this duality in how we struggle, that we struggle with those that oppress us, and we struggle with the complacency, the apathy, or the fear of our own community.